Next, we will hand the floor over to the audience. Let's hear what questions our friends here have. We have one request now. Everyone, please ask only one question. And you may specify which particular guest you would like to answer your question. Please.
Greetings, masters. I am from Changchun, China. My question today for you is as follows. The dependent origination holds extraordinary significance, both worldly and transcendent. Ignorance conditions formations, formations condition consciousness, all the way to the end, to birth, aging, and death. And then it starts another cycle of ignorance. So here, I would like to ask Khenpo Rinpoche, when exactly did ignorance first begin? I've often heard it said, since beginningless time, but I've never really felt certain about that. How can it be since beginningless time? It always seems to me that there should be some kind of starting point for it to make sense. That's my question. Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you for your thoughtful question.
Actually, this question isn't directly relevant to our topic tonight, but it certainly relates to principles within Buddhist philosophy. Today, many venerable masters from the Theravada tradition have discussed the 12 links of dependent origination, the Four Noble Truths, and the teachings of the Tripitaka. But to answer briefly, you see, according to the exoteric Buddhist view, every sentient being has ignorance since beginningless time. The term beginningless time refers to a time span so incredibly vast that there is no specific starting point to identify. It's not just the ignorance of consciousness. In fact, in our world, there are many other phenomena as well, for which we simply cannot determine a beginning. So when it comes to consciousness, every sentient being is confused from the beginning of their existence in this world. One could describe it that way. According to Vajrayana perspectives, ignorance is divided into innate ignorance and conceptual ignorance. This conceptual so-called ignorance is like soft drifting clouds suddenly appearing in the sky. When external phenomena appear, if one cannot truly understand the nature or reality of things, then ignorance just naturally arises. But this ignorance, just like how clouds cannot inherently exist in the sky's nature, in the true nature of the mind, so-called ignorance does not exist. There are these two perspectives.
Homage to Rinpoche and three jewels. Hello, Professor Pan and host. I am from the Free University of Berlin in Germany. Tonight's topic is Buddhism and science this evening. My question is related to tonight's topic. When we mention science, what comes to mind are subjects such as mathematics, physics, chemistry, and so on. But in fact, science also includes philosophy, social sciences, humanities, arts, and other fields of inquiry. My question relates specifically to this broader understanding. My field of research and professional work is partly academic and scholarly, sitting in the study, reading books, writing articles, and partly practical and experiential. I work with children and teenagers on a daily basis. I am engaged in drama studies, working with others to do dramatic performances. I do drama education and drama therapy. In the course of this work, indeed, I might share emotions like cry and laugh together with the children. We sometimes journey through intense emotional landscapes, exploring even difficult and sometimes dark emotion. And sometimes we are able to find light together, and sometimes we cannot. Ever since I started learning about Dharma, especially recently, I feel Buddhist teachings are truly wonderful. Yet I have a question. I've always wondered for a long time whether the nature of our work is actually very far from the precepts, concentration, and wisdom. How can I effectively integrate my work like this with the regular and dedicated practice of Buddhism instead of separating worldly work as just worldly work? Dharma practice is Dharma practice. I sincerely ask Khenpo for compassionate guidance. Amitabha.
Just now, a moment ago, the girl who had given us the short speech mentioned, she brought up that no matter how dark our world may be, there are always beautiful twinkling stars. So as someone engaged in works in the field of science or as a dedicated theater professional, for example, I think whether you are laughing, crying, or enjoying moments with children in all your daily activities and interactions, these can in fact actually be connected with Buddhist practice in meaningful ways. There is no need to separate them. Really, we can recite mantras while contemplating the suffering of sentient beings, while also helping others and carefully using our wisdom to gradually dispel others' ignorance and misunderstanding. This, in fact, is Buddhist education. This approach aligns with what masters of Theravada Buddhism have explained systematically and in detail about Buddhist educational principles. Actually, in fact, many young people here today don't have to retreat to remote mountains and forests, nor do you have to wear robes and shave your head inside the monastery right now. Precepts, concentration, and wisdom can be practiced every moment of our lives, even in any bustling city. They can be practiced and upheld anywhere.
Thank you.
I'm from Jiangsu, China. I would like to ask Professor Pan Zongguang a quick question. The great philosopher Aristotle, in the final chapter of his work Physics, which addresses metaphysics questions. That is to say, in ancient times, Greek thinkers combined physics and philosophy very closely together. However, in contemporary physics education at our schools, even though in the standard textbooks on quantum mechanics, it is stated that Bell's inequality disproves the hypothesis of local realism. But when our teachers are teaching, they often avoid discussing the topic at hand. Questions like whether matter is real or not real. They avoid discussing such philosophical or metaphysical issues. I'd like to ask, as a truly remarkable individual, former president of the Hong Kong Polytechnic University, how do you view the current state of physics education, specifically the phenomenon of separating physics from philosophy? Do you think that the educational approach of separating physics from metaphysics might just affect the development of physics today? Thank you.
This is indeed a complex and multifaceted question. Let me offer an illustrative example. The field of medicine. In the early days, medicine was for all humanity, and there were no subdivisions. But as things developed, they became increasingly sophisticated. Each part also required many years of research before people could understand the specific functions of the stomach, kidneys, and so on. Specialization emerged. That's how we ended up with specialists for the liver, specialists for the kidneys, and so forth. So what exactly does this tell us? As science and technology advance over time, and as society develops, things become a bit more complicated. It's very difficult to explain everything with a unified theory. So we need to have a division of labor with specialists managing specific matters. I'm not saying that physics and philosophy should necessarily be studied together, but I recognize that the development of physics today is very rapid, very complex, and there's so much to it. So it really depends on how the physics teachers view as effective physics teaching. If they are teaching physics as an academic discipline, that's perfectly fine. But in teaching, they should also help students understand science is only an important part of life, not the whole of it. So I also hope that during the teaching, attention can also be given to some traditional Chinese wisdom, some elements of Chinese cultural heritage. Integrating the direction of physics development with the traditional Chinese culture provides a more comprehensive understanding. But it's still better to spend the main amount of time on the specialized field of physics.
Today, in fact, we've discussed two concepts that might at first appear to be two separate domains. One is religion and the other is science. Whether it's religion or science, both are ways for us to better understand ourselves and to better understand the world around us today. Khenpo noted insightfully, looking outward, you're dreaming. If you look inward, you will awaken. And Professor Pan also has a reflection on life. If a person appears successful on the outside but lacks inner peace, that is the most dangerous thing. Finding peace within one's mind is paramount. So we hope that through this exchange and discussion with all of you, everyone can cultivate a life of awakening and inner peace. Once again, we would like to sincerely thank both of our guests for being with us today. We truly appreciate your presence. Thank you. Thanks for your attention.